Welcome to another episode, Middle Ground with JLE L.L.C, where we treat you like family. That was a theme song, Detroit Love, from my first album, The JLE Experience. I have another amazing guest for you today. We have author, storyteller, transitional speaker, and poet, Tina Wolfe. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. Hey.
Appreciate you here. So I'm going to ask a few questions that got you to where you are to make you so awesome. First
Absolutely.
question, what led you to this path?
Back in 2015, I was going through one of the worst separation divorces of my life. And I went on this journey to save my marriage and ended up saving myself. That's how I began my journey.
Wow. I understand that. So how did that get you to writing, become an author?
It got me to write and become an author because I started studying um, about relationships and how I could better myself, how I could be a better wife, a better woman. And throughout that cleansing process of learning how to love myself and understand that I'm enough, uh, a lot of people reminded me that, man, you're so creative. you know I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, man, you used to do poetry and stuff. Why don't you do your poetry? I mean, you've always been a great storyteller. And as I was going through my journey, I was sharing with people my life on how I'm healing, how I'm getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, teach me, I'll pay you. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And so that's how the coaching began. And I'm like, but
Right.
I don't have no degrees. I don't have no, they like, I don't care. You know more than I know, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so then at that point, I was like, okay. So people was like, I want to know more of your story too. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready to do a story, but let me do this poetry, you know.
Okay.
And um, at the time, um, my little baby brother, who is also a rapper, uh, he was like, Tina, take your poetry and turn it into rap, you know?
Oh.
And I was like, what? He was like, yeah. And so he began to show me how to do that. And so the name of the song was called Good Head and Wine Glasses. And he wanted me to write a verse. He said, just follow the cadence of what I'm doing. And
Mm-hmm.
when you follow the cadence of what I'm doing, you'll be able to do it. I was like, man, I don't know. So I'm listening to the music, I'm listening to the beat, I'm following his cadence. And it just came natural to me to write about good head and wine glasses because I'm a very sexually open, talkative person, tell stories about, girl, you want to know about this? You want to know about this? You want to know about this? And I tell those stories. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wrote these lyrics and performed them. And once I performed them for him, he's like, what I'm supposed to do with this? This is a woman's anthem at this point. You know, like, how am I
Okay.
supposed to come behind this? What kind
Uh-huh.
of buffoonery are you giving me? You feel me? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, my bad. He's like, sis, write a second verse. He said, you even wrote a hook to it. Just forget it. You can have it. You can just take the whole song. And I was like,
Okay.
okay. So he helped me to with producers,
Mm-hmm.
music. I ended up changing the song several different times,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then started performing the song. And then I decided one day, everybody keeps asking me the story behind the song. How does one just sit down and write a song about good head and wine glasses? Like, who just sits down and writes that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to tell the story behind the poem. And that's how I started the actual writing for an actual book. Like, that's how it actually started. And then I did Good Head and Wine Glasses. And then people were like, I'm hungry. I need more. What else you got? So I was like, I wrote a poem called My Pearl, My Tongue, which is one of my favorite poems set to music.
Okay.
And the story behind it was that after my divorce, I met a young man, 7 years younger than I was, and he was a good old country boy, you know, lightning country boy, like a good old country boy. And
Mhm.
he was a very young man, but he had this old raspy like type of a voice, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But um but I really liked him. And he used to always say, "You want me suck your pearl tongue?" And I'd be like, I ain't heard that mess since the 90s. I mean, that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
this
I
is,
remember that back
what
in the
is
day.
this? 19, and I laughed. But when I laughed, I didn't realize I had actually hurt his feelings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had actually hurt his feelings. So I was like, oh, well, how can I let him know that I do want him to suck my pearl tongue? And I didn't mean to hurt his feelings. So I wrote this poem. That's where this came from. And
Okay.
so I wrote that story. And then I had some more stories. There's 8 stories total in the book. And I
What's the name
decided
of
to
the book?
name the book Iniquity Album by Tina Wolfe. It is available for purchase on Amazon. Purchase price is $20. It has the poem, it has the story, and it has full color pictures
Okay.
because I'm a picture girl. I'm gonna let y'all run wild with what y'all think the pictures is. That's why the book is $20. Okay.
Shout
But
out to Tiffany.
if you look on Amazon, you'll see the cover and you'll see why. Like, it's a nice little surprise on there on the front for y'all. You feel what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh,
Shout out to Tiffany Paris. She said you would be a great interview and story. One line.
man.
One line.
So that's how the writing started. That's how the first book got published.
Okay.
And I have like 4 books going on right now. One particular that my editor is, you know, helping me with. So yeah.
Okay. So what's the difference in being an author and a storyteller?
Uh, Nothing to me. It's to me, a storyteller is an author. The only difference is maybe I'm putting it in this book
Okay.
in a written form.
Hmm.
Because for me, at least anyway, the way that I write the book is the way that I tell the story. Just like I was telling you the story right now, like, I met this young man and, he wanted to suck my pearl tongue. Like, that's how I write the story.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I've never been grammatically correct and periods and dots, and that's what my editor is for. Shout out to Ginger, by the way. That's
I hear you. You're the
I don't
creator.
play these. Yeah, I just want to
Put it down.
do. I don't want to. That's what you pay people good money to do. Okay, I
Mhm.
don't. I'm a storyteller. Y'all make me an author when I put it on paper and you edit it for me. You feel me?
I feel you. I'm an author
I
too. I
mean,
understand.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Now, what is a transitional speaker?
I started reading the book The Secret. I've always called myself a motivational speaker. People have said that I have helped them to make transitions in their life, as far as moving from one place in their life to another. My coaching and my intuitive services that I offer I specialize in self love, self healing, and building of relationships. So that's what people come to me for. And so people would tell me, man, you're actually transforming my life. So I'm like, okay. And I start reading this book, The Secret, and they're like, transitional coach. I'm like, ooh,
Okay.
transitional and transformational, and I'm like, ooh, transform. Like I like those words because I've heard them. So I was like, I'm used to saying motivational, but let me stick this word up here and see if I get a different audience. And I did. I started getting people. It's like that's what I want for my life. I'm like, okay, well, come on, let me help
Okay. That makes sense.
you.
Now, you say you was already a poet. What inspired that in the beginning?
My grandmother was a English professor.
Oh,
So why he hit me with the lean back.
I already
Oh
know. Like,
man,
hey, that
oh,
got
uh,
the red. That's not
flashback,
right.
right?
Not right. What you writing? Come on now. You represent me out here.
Exactly.
I had a
I
teacher like
mean,
that. She was
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I mean, and she would always encourage me to tell my story
Hmm.
and write my story just as I seen it. That's what she wanted me to do. So I said, okay. And so even as a little girl, even if I didn't spell correctly, she wouldn't be like, you didn't spell that right. She'd be like, write it out. Now you tell me what it says. And she would rewrite it for me. Like, you know what?
Okay.
Grandma was my editor and I didn't even know. You know,
Mhm.
and she would, once I write my story, she'd be like, okay, well, what is this rabbit supposed to do? What's his name? What does he look like? Where is he from? Does he have parents? Like she would get really detailed. So when I write my stories, I get really detailed. If I say I went down to the store, I'm gonna say I went down to the store and I had on a red tube top and some black hip hugging pants with some red stilettos just to go to the store. My hair was done up. I had my glasses on because I like looking like the librarian, even though I got on this tube top. Like I'm gonna give you details because I want you to actually visualize. I don't want you to just go to the store with me. I want you to visualize what I look like and what I'm doing, and you be in the character with me every single step of the way.
Okay.
And to me, that's help people to be so interested in my book and hungry and want more. Because I'm not just gonna say I went to the store and got some beef bacon. I'm gonna give you all the, as they say, extra. You extra. I'm gonna give you all the extras.
Yeah, you got to. You got to tell a vivid story because sometimes just walking to the store, a car may have swerved, hit a tree, or you see a couple arguing, and the argument sounded funny, so you stop to hear a little bit more, then keep going. Stuff happens,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and given the pandemic right now, people need entertainment. So I
Yes.
see books are back in all different forms, audio, everything.
Yes. Absolutely.
Now, what challenges did you face all on this journey?
Um, of doing all of this stuff,
Hmm.
I would say the biggest challenge was losing people in my growth process. Not everybody is meant to come on this journey with you.
Uh-huh.
Um, I lost people that I thought were best friends who
Wow.
started revealing and showing their true self. Um, my creative opportunities started to shift and change. I started to, people that I thought were my biggest supporters were really just waiting to see me fail.
Wow.
But the real friends and family members and people that were there to support me, they had more power in my space than the naysayers, is what I call them.
Okay.
But that was a huge challenge. And then especially being an intuitive, okay, my biggest challenge was everybody called, which my mom feared this, um, was being called a witch, being called a voodoo, a root worker, all these negative things. And I'm like, I don't even know what the heck, what is a witch? I would ask them, what, you saying I'm a witch? What's a witch? Because I have no clue what a witch is. Like, I
Mhm.
believe in God and I believe in positivity. So anything that is positive, that is what I that's what I believe in. That's what I focus on. So I don't have time, you know what I'm saying, to entertain other people's things. So the other challenge was people calling me those type of names to try to discourage me from learning about how to utilize different tools to heal myself and others. I'll say it that way. That
Now,
was the biggest challenge.
could you ever imagine in your journey to find yourself from your separation that it'll lead you here?
Heck, you know.
Man,
Heck,
I
you
with
know,
you.
man.
When I separated last year, I was trying to figure out what's my purpose, and I started back doing my podcast. I didn't expect to try to help you find a purpose. I
Right.
had no idea with that. It's
Yeah,
been a crazy journey.
I don't I don't know if I really found my purpose or my purpose found me. People are pushy and bossy. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah, they can.
Jeffrey,
Yeah, they can.
Jeffrey,
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
Hmm.
You didn't have some pushy people in your life too. Say, you know you supposed to be motivating. You know you supposed to be teaching. You know you supposed to be writing. You know you supposed to be. And you like, why you so pushy?
I mean, I had people, some pushy, some not. Like you, yeah, this what you should be doing because a lot of people are getting
Hmm.
help. Like every morning, I've been writing the inspirational post to encourage people.
Hmm.
There were days I would think, this ain't really helping nobody. I'm stop doing this. Oh man, that really
Yeah.
helped. And like, wow, so I guess I gotta keep doing this. And I'm
Yeah.
amazed, humbled that I stop and I ask God what He want me to say, and He keep giving me something
Hmm.
new every day when I post about it. And more
Absolutely.
people starting to notice, and it's really helping. I'm like, wow,
Yes.
God's way is kind of
I
has an impact.
yes.
Who knew?
Yes. But I shout out to my pushy people because my pushy people that were positive on my team helped me to get here. I mean,
Yeah,
when I
I'm telling you,
doubted myself and I didn't have enough faith in myself to be like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this. Because when somebody, it took me a long time to accept the word coach because I'm like, I didn't graduate high school. I have a GED. I don't have a diploma, but I can sit in the same room as people that have their sociology degree, their psychology degree, and they like, where you go to school? And I'm like, Half Price Bookstore, Amazon.com, YouTube University, Google's Mastery. Shout
well,
out to the dictionaries, Macmillan and Webster, and you know.
well, God uses who He used. Moses came with all that. Like, take this rod, it'll do everything for you. What else you got? Some people just chosen. Like you got the type of energy that people be receptive to what you say to them, and
Thank
certain
you.
people need
Thank you. Heart emojis. I'm a heart emoji girl. Heart emoji.
it.
Yes. So I mean, that without having those people at the stage that I was in back then in 2015, like, my son introduced me to Marvin Sapp. Never would have made
Oh yeah,
it. I
that's,
know I'm not him, but
oh yeah, class.
that, I wouldn't have been able to push through and I'd have been sitting there like, bag lady, you gonna hurt your back. Dragging all them bags
Yeah, class.
like that. Cause man, I had some bags, brother. I don't know if you ever had luggage in your life, but I done had some luggage in my, and I had to just shed it and get it off. And that's what helped me. Like reading these books, listening to motivational speakers, listening to people's stories, having people, some of the greatest impacts that when I wanted to quit, I started going live on Facebook. And a lot of people don't know this, but I have a speech impairment or impediment, however you want to say it, impediment, everybody's different. But I have that where I stutter when I get stressed or nervous or overly excited. And so my fear of going live was because I didn't want to stutter. And I would go live and I'd be like, I'm sorry, y'all, I messed up. And they'd be like, man, keep talking, you know,
I
and that
got
helped.
you all right.
And that helped to build my strength. And that's another thing that I loved about doing poetry, because in the poetry community, they'll be like, ah, she messed up. They be like, come on, poet, you can do it. Like that. I love that encouragement. And so what that helped me to do was to be able to start speaking to people.
Mhm,
And one day I was speaking and I started stuttering and I caught myself. I said,
mhm.
and I started to enunciate and take my time. I learned that from the poetry community. So I started to enunciate and take my time and not be so quick to get everything out. And
Mhm.
I said, shout out to the stutterers. And after I did that, I got a inbox from a young lady whose daughter stutters, and she said that she was inspired by me, and she told her mommy to record her talking, and she recorded, and she was just telling me thank you,
That's
you know. And
awesome.
I was like,
That's awesome.
so to me, it's things like that that give me inspiration. I work, my youngest student is 3 years old. They are
Okay.
so brilliant. My oldest student, 87. Well, she's probably older than that now because that was back in 2016. She's 87. I work with men, women, children. I do not discriminate. I help people with the self love, self healing, building of relationships. But on the intuitive side of the house, I help people to accept who they are, what their abilities are, helping them to, like, where do I get started? Like, I've always felt different, but where do I start? You
Mhm.
know, so I help people with that. Some people are like, I'm on a new journey. I need to learn about myself. That's what I'm great at doing. So that's me.
That's
You can
awesome.
ask me a question.
I learned in the book community, they are very supportive.
Hmm.
I never thought I was doing good on Anchor. Then I want to watch it like, oh man, they want to look at me. Uh, I gotta be more of myself, vulnerable. I don't like
Yes.
it, but you keep moving. God be like, hey, come on,
Come
do that
on.
work, do that work. Yep, go figure it out, go research.
Yes. And it's
And
gonna keep coming until you do it. That's the one thing I
oh
learned about living in your purpose.
man,
It's go
man,
it's
Pastor Blake,
relentless.
because I was really not going to do loud. Like I'm not trying to be on camera talking to people. I'm a musician. I'm kind of private with my stuff, and I gotta be open. Even though I make stuff, so it's weird, but I'm very to myself. Like they're gonna see the real me. I don't care. Come on,
Yeah.
get to it, Jeff. Pray before you do
Yes.
it. Like, all right, I'm tired of you doing this to me, guys. So leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
And
Leave
it's
me
helping
alone.
people. So I fall back
Yes.
like, wow, it's helping people. So
Help
I get
people.
it. I start whining. I
Absolutely.
get it.
Yes.
Um, what would be the impact on your family and friends now from what they seen you do?
Um, well, the friends that are still here, they
Yeah.
love me very much. And I love them very much. I have such great communication with my family and my friends. Now, some of them are still kind of fearful for me because I'm so vulnerable and open, like with my book, the Iniquity album, writing about all those sexual experiences and stuff in there. They're like, girl, don't create no stalker and don't, you know. I'm like, "Ugh." But then when they need great advice, they're like, hey, girl, mm,
We plead the blood of
help.
Jesus over you that you're covered and protected. You good.
Amen. I receive it. And that's how I feel. I'm like, I cannot live my life in fear. You know what I'm saying? I cannot live my life in fear.
Yeah.
So,
Never get nothing accomplished.
no, not at all.
Last question I ask everybody. Well, hold on. We got to make sure you mark it. Name your book again.
It is Iniquity Album by Tina Wolfe. And it's actually not just Iniquity Album, it's actually Iniquity Album by Tina Wolfe is the whole title. Yes. I love my name, baby. There's power
Yeah,
in my name, okay?
I thought about the Boondock Show.
Oh,
A pimp
what
named so
happened? I don't want to know. Never mind. Don't
yeah, you good. Oh man. So
tell me off the
Nicki
earth.
album by Tina Wolf.
Yes.
Okay. Available on Amazon.
On Amazon, yes.
Okay. You got another book coming out soon?
Hopefully within the next 4 months, yes.
Okay. And your poetry, that's out to be bought?
In Iniquity Album by Tina Wolfe.
Okay. I mean, you might have some separate going on. So
Uh,
okay. And your
more to
web.
come. And my website is bookwithtina.com. I keep everything simple for y'all. Affirmation and also confirmation that you need to bookwithtina.com.
Okay. All right. Now, last question. What advice do
Okay.
you have for someone trying to find their purpose?
That thing that you always felt you wanted to do when you were a little kid,
Hmm.
sit back and remember it. A lot of people know who they wanted to be when they were children and grew up and forgot. And some of us are still in that space where we're actually transitioning into and as an adult where we wanted to be as a kid. Go back to your kid self. And if you said I want to be a magician, think about how you can transition that into your life because the magician that you are, you may not be making things disappear, but
Hmm.
you may be with your intellectual property understanding how to make things disappear. Like them credit scores. Shout out to my magicians. To people, transforming lives. You are a magician. You know, think about what inspired you as a kid. Why? Because there's a reason why you wanted to be that. So to me, that's where you get your start in looking for your life purpose. And plus, what people tell you they see in you.
That's pretty great advice.
Mhm. Thank you.
Your first podcast, or you been on multiples?
I've been on a couple of interviews. I love interviewing, and the reason why I'm so good now is because I done had some under my belt. Because my first couple was like,
You gotta get comfortable.
I'm super comfortable now because now I'm also super comfortable with me. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I
Heard a
got it.
magic. Said what?
Well, want to thank author, storyteller, transitional speaker, poet, coach, motivational speaker, Tina Wolf for sharing her story and advice that helps one find a purpose. I appreciate you for doing it. You're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me so much. This has been fun. Even though you try to give me the straight, I make people laugh. Is what
Oh
I do.
no. Oh
Okay.
no. Oh no. This ain't no traditional. This is a chill. That's why I got the tagline where we treat you like family. Cool conversation
And
about
I feel like family. So thank you, Jeffrey.
this to come. Well, I'm gonna finish it up and
All
I'm
right.
send you a copy of the message.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Until then, next episode in a few hours, you'll have a great one. Bye.
Too. Bye.